person. Relationship, building relationship, and I started the series by asking people what they thought was the necessity or the necessary ingredients for making up a relationship. It's just like making a pot of soup. If you had to make a goosey, you had to buy a goosey and the rest of it. Now, if you want a relationship, a good relationship or a healthy relationship, what are the things that you should look out for as an individual? And I got responses, and I sincerely appreciate everyone who was part of that last week, and it's great. But today we're just going to be looking in depthly, you know, as to what should a good relationship, a healthy relationship, should be about building a healthy relationship. So we're just going to start out with the idea of a healthy relationship. First, there's the idea of a perfect relationship.
Mm.
I don't know. And there is also the idea of a healthy relationship. Question is, which of these two exist, healthy or perfect?
Um, well, nice topic here. Um, for starters, I don't think there's anything like a perfect relationship. And that's because we're not perfect people.
Okay.
And so imperfect people can have a perfect
But you
relationship.
hear something more oftentimes. You hear things like the perfect couple, the perfect match.
Okay, when you see that,
Hmm.
that's the product of work done in the secret that nobody sees.
Okay.
Um, the perfect couple is not perfect because they don't have issues, because that's what a perfect relationship should be. Relationship that doesn't have issues.
Hmm.
Every man has weaknesses and strengths, and as long as we have weaknesses, we cannot have a perfect relationship because those weaknesses will keep showing up. But why it's perfect for so many from the outside is because those people in that relationship, that couple, have learned to work on their differences. And so it is a work in progress. It is still not perfect.
Mm.
But I would rather tilt to, um, a healthy relationship. And that's what a healthy relationship is about. A healthy relationship is about, you know, mutual agreement in terms of agreeing to work together. Two can't work together except they agree. And so like my wife and I, we always say to each other, when we walk together, I'll step on your toes, you step on mine. It is mandatory. In
Okay.
fact, it's my right, as I used to say to my wife, to step on your toes is yours. Your right as well to step on my toes. But what makes it a healthy relationship is that we learn to bear the pain. We deal with it as mature human beings and couple and persons in the relationship.
Interestingly, because I was about to ask, um, what would that be like? The idea of a healthy relationship. If we had to paint a picture,
Okay.
what would that be like?
Ah, yeah.
Like you have said, there is the analogy you use talking about two people working together,
Yeah.
stepping on each other's toes
Yeah.
is an inevitability
Yeah.
which will always happen,
Yeah.
and that is what the idea of a healthy relationship will be like.
Yeah.
Two people who actually, maybe people see perfection outside but live in imperfection, you know. But that being said, and understood, let's now move. When people talk about relationship, sometimes the first thing that comes to mind is romantic, but
Okay.
relationship cuts across different aspects of our life.
Yeah.
There are platonic relationship, for
Yeah.
instance. If you live in a community, you're supposed to have relationship with the people,
Yeah.
and if you're into business, you're supposed to have relationship with your clients and partners. And so there's a question of what you think a healthy relationship is a function of. Do you think it's a function of um, the people that you're in a relationship with, or the person that you're in a relationship with, or do you think is a function of how you relate with these people? Now, to make that very more clearer,
I think I get the
you,
picture
you, you get the
very
picture.
clearly.
Okay.
Very clearly. I just I like to start with me. Um, Generally, success begins with you, not with
Okay.
someone else. And so is a healthy relationship. It begins with me. The healthier I am as a person, the more comfortable I am with myself, the more I trust who I am becoming, the more I grow and mature, the better I will be in a relationship, irrespective of what is coming towards me. So, this is interesting. Two men having the same kind of women in their life, antagonistic, loud, in quotes, people who can't, and one man takes care of the relationship properly, the other can't. What's the issue? Was it the talking and nagging of the wife or the friend? No, it wasn't. It was the maturity of the person who is in the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So truly, it's not what happens to a man that matters. It's how the man deals with what happens to him. So, and that's why I do not want to say. I'm tempted to say it is a product of both parties, but
Okay.
truly, that's what a healthy relationship should be. It should be mutual, but I do not go into that relationship because I want um, um, something.
Yeah.
I want to give. So going with that mindset already positions me as the giver, as the that my mindset is coming to be a blessing.
Okay.
And when that is the case, even if I don't have a reciprocal, you know, response in terms of what I'm receiving back, out to give, and that's what matters. Truth be told, some people come into a relationship and don't even know what to do. But you, as the grown up one, in terms of your maturity, can help that person become a better person. And so you could see someone getting married to someone who wasn't very sound mentally, and
Should you
after,
even be in that kind of relationship?
yes, it's possible.
I mean, should you get into a relationship with someone who you feel less mature than you, or who's perhaps not on the same wavelength of reasoning as you? Don't you think that would be strenuous or stressful?
It will be strenuous, but it's possible. It's very possible, and this is where love really, really covers a multitude of sin. As a matter of fact, real love is not about. Of course, I should be looking out for everything else, all the balance and all.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know there was a prophet in the Holy Book who was told to go marry a prostitute? I kept asking myself, I was asking myself recently, what on earth was happening? But then I remember what the Creator was trying to do with that. That became serious. All right. And another time, I remember that while I was much younger, growing up as a teen, and I was reading relationship materials, I stumbled on a quote from, I think it was T.D. Jakes. He said, "Every woman is like a garden. Whatever you want to see in that garden, you plant it there yourself." And that stuck. Because when people go out to be friends, especially if they're looking out for someone they want to spend the rest of their life with,
Okay.
they keep looking for the perfect match. And there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that. Anyway, for the man, I would rather say look for the basic, foundation. They're just things that you could work with.
Okay.
There are things you can work with. The rest is history. I can take anybody who is teachable and humble and willing to learn, who doesn't have enough, character, enough skill set. That person, as long as they have the basic ingredient of teachability and humility, that is good enough. Just give it time. Anybody going through the life of a mature friend can ultimately become a better person. So the aim, whether it's going to end up in marriage or it's just going to be romantic or platonic or business,
yeah.
the aim should be, if you are going to have a healthy relationship, become healthy yourself. Grow, keep growing, because who you are will rub off on the relationship ultimately. Yeah.
Really, really interesting. So, basically, from what you have said, it is the what you get out of any relationship, the level of healthiness, if there's a word like that, that you get out of a relationship.
Is a function of who you are.
Or yeah, it's
Yes.
more on you
Yes.
than what you expect on the person's
Yes,
side.
it is.
So, some people think that before they can get into a relationship with anyone, the other person needs to prove themselves to them.
Oh,
Is that a
okay.
thing?
Yeah, it's a current thing that is happening around these days, but that is not in my world. It doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. And when I say my world, I know you introduced me as a pastor, so I can say this. That is not scriptural at all. All right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Imagine if all of us had to prove ourselves before we could. We would all be dead. So. A while back, somebody asked me, "How do you cope with someone who keeps, throwing it back at your face? It's so rude. Never. How do you do that?" I said, for starters, I'm now a parent.
Okay.
So within the last 10 years, I've been a parent. I've raised 3 biological children, and also, fathered quite a number that are not my kids, and literally gone through us, my wife and I.
Okay.
But also, as a spiritual father, I realized that it's an amazing thing to see people who you should just walk out of your office. I mean, send them packing, beat them up, literally.
Yes.
And you just have to be patient with them. I don't know where that strength came from. I began to understand that that is the nature of God. But, in dealing with what you call an outcast socially that is not in your class, and you realize that over time you see people change. And that's the beauty. I have seen hardcore marijuana smokers become the best of pals. If you see them around me, you not even know where they come from. So I've come to realize you could get someone from the street, and that's what I was talking about. That when you go into a relationship as someone who is built up and who's still building, you're still building yourself, you realize, for instance, that there are a lot of things you're willing to learn because of who you want to be in the life of people. For instance, how do you deal with difficult people? Not a lot of people go reading a book like that, how to deal with people, and who's pushing your button. I remember reading that book, and I was wondering, why am I even reading that book? Becoming a person of influence, how to win friends, and you deliberately go reading those things because of what you want to do with people. And the truth is that the quality of yourself will rub off on people ultimately. So in 3 years, in 4 years, in 5 years, I've seen people who, if you had seen 5 years ago, you will not touch with a long stick. I've seen them become people you want to spend the rest of your life with.
And this is as a result of they hanging out with you.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Exactly. Really, really interesting. Now, talking about relationship, relationship extends to making friends and what have you, platonic relationship and everything. And for some people, do you think it's something that should come naturally, or do you think it's a skill, making friends?
Oh yeah, it's natural for some people. We call them sanguines.
Okay.
Yeah, in the four temperament types.
Okay.
It's natural for sanguines. They meet you now, and it's like you've been friends forever. You might not see them for 5-10 years, but when they see you again, it's like they saw you yesterday. And so it's natural for such people. The downside of the sanguine is that they don't know how to deliberately maintain relationships. So they can connect easily, but it's more work for them. It's tedious work to maintain that relationship over time. But there's some others when they take time to make this relationship, but once they do, they're there through thick and thin. They're the one texting you, calling you. You check that out. You have that with phlegmatics. They're loyal to the core. All right, loyal people. And so I'd rather say it's both natural for some, but for most of us human beings, it's a skill we have to develop. And that's why we have to read. So I indirectly recommended materials earlier when I talked about how to win friends and keep them. And those are materials that we all need to read. Sometimes you go literally online to go research. For instance, how to be a good listener. It doesn't come easy, and it's a skill set that is required in building a healthy relationship. So for instance, how to listen, it's a technique you can learn. Even if you're a sanguine, you have to learn it. It's a technique that must be learned. How to communicate properly, all right, so that you don't go becoming overbearing in a relationship. You're the one talking and doing all the things. You're coming as if you know all, and you don't give other people. So it's something that must be developed. So I want to say to someone listening right now, that if you're going to be a great person, influencing people and building a healthy relationship, you must continue to work on yourself. It's just the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, because of time, we're just going to move forward because there's a lot that you have said, and I'm taking them, and it's a lot to process. But I really like the amount of information that's coming through.
Okay.
And for one, you have said that you made a point about making and keeping a relationship. They're two different things.
Yeah.
Over time.
Yeah.
And it cuts across everything: business, marriage, and platonic. You get married today, but how do you sustain the marriage and things like that?
Yeah.
Where do people often get relationships wrong? Where do people always get it wrong in relationship when getting into a relationship or building a relationship? Where do they get it wrong?
A lot. For starters, unhealthy expectations. All right. For instance, when dating someone that you're not married to, the person will put their best foot forward. So you don't even know who the person is most of the time. 99% of the time, you don't know. When you get married, you're like, oh, so you were hiding this part of
Yeah.
you. So a lot of people are not open enough to show their real self to their spouses. I mean, I'm talking about both parties now. So that's where the expectations come. You just realize we're having lunch at a fast food joint, we're hanging out, we're saying hi, we're texting, we're doing all the nice things, and all of a sudden you're married, you see somebody else. All right.
Okay.
Now it takes maturity to deal with what you have found, and that's where love comes in. I need to say this: most of what we see on TV as love ain't love, really. That's something else. When someone says, I feel, I have a feeling for him, that's different from love, right? That's something else, not love. And I'll say this very, very, clearly. Real love, when you're in love with somebody, you go taking everything that they throw at you, both the shit and everything. You take everything in, and that's how it is. Because someone's nice to you, so yeah, they're nice. You're in love with the person. All of a sudden, the person comes to you as a tiger, and then you hate the person. And so we see so many marriages breaking up overnight, marriages that just done yesterday breaking up because you have a lot of babies in quote in marriage. So I think what is happening is that a lot of people are not mature enough to get into those marriage relationships. That's one.
Okay.
And once they are married, even despite the shortcomings, are refusing to stay and walk, because really a healthy marriage, a healthy relationship, whether it's in business or marriage or anything, it takes time to build. It takes time to grow. Healthy things will grow. Growth doesn't happen overnight.
Okay.
But as long as we continue to remain healthy, then we can grow.
Yeah.
So the health we're talking about here, so we're talking about healthy relationships. All right. So in fact, you cannot you can't keep a healthy boy or a healthy girl from growing. A healthy child will automatically grow. So it is health that leads to growth. And so when a person is healthy naturally with themselves in the relationships, they will grow. So when I grow, I found out, for instance, that the more I improve, the better my relationship. It has never been the other way around. So all the times I used to feel, why is my wife behaving like this? Why is this friend of mine behaving like this? I realized I could take everything when I grew. In fact, I put it this way before, a lot of people who are believers listen to me. The closer I get to the Spirit of God, the closer I get in my prayer life, the healthier I am in my spiritual growth, the easier it is to love. The one way I can know when I'm getting far away from my relationship with God, for instance, is when I begin to itch over every little thing and I'm shouting, I'm aggressive. I know there's something wrong somewhere. That means my healthy relationship with my Father is not strong enough. So healthy relationships lead to growth in that relationship. That's all I'm trying to say.
Wow. Okay. So to be broken down, I think that maturity is one of the things that you mentioned.
Yes,
where
maturity.
People always get it wrong, in relationship. You have to be mature before you get into a relationship.
Oh, let me just add this.
Okay.
A mentor of mine once told me that every marriage you see that has lasted 10, 20 years, 40 years, all those marriages, that somebody was definitely taking rubbish for a period of time. That go check very well. Somebody was stepping on somebody's toe at some time deliberately or unconsciously, and the other partner had to take all that. That's where it comes in. Then at some other time it switches. All of a sudden you're the one now giving it.
Yeah.
How to see that person is growing is that person now begins to take what they were giving before.
Exactly.
So at different times, but at a particular time in that union, all of a sudden you are both taking and you're both giving. That is real growth right there. Something has happened.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And nobody should walk into any relationship expecting that it just works.
No. You have to work on it.
It's just like, it grows.
Yes.
And you have to build it.
It takes time, sir. It takes time. Absolutely time.
Because I think that some people get into wedding hoping that it just works out itself.
Oh boy, no.
It's going to work out itself.
Esther and I, as my wife, we've sold ourselves over and over. Marriage is hard work. So is friendship. Good friendship is hard work. It's hard work.
Wow.
Yes.
Finally, we just have like a minute left. As an individual, as a person, before you step into any relationship, what are the things that you think anyone should watch out for? What should you look out for?
Oh yeah. For starters, please look out for things like godliness. And of course, someone asked me, how do you know someone is godly? That's that. Another thing you should look out for, especially if you want to take this relationship very far, look out for where they are going.
Okay.
Do they have goals, dreams, visions? Very important. And if they have, is it something you want to connect with, you want to be part of? Whether you're marrying them or not, can you be part of that story, that journey? That's important. And look out for values as well. What values do they have? What drives them? And these are basic things. And so if you would overlook all that and just settle for what they have materially, you might be missing it. In fact, that should be the last thing. You should not even think about that.
Yeah.
Because there are people who don't have anything. Like myself. When I was starting out, I didn't have anything. But someone got married to me because she saw where I was going to and said, I want to be part of that journey. So that's important.
Wow. Thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate this conversation. It's just it's a lot, and
thank you very much for having me, man.
I have learned
I appreciate
quite a lot, you know. And to everyone out there, I just sincerely believe that, you know, whatever it is that you're writing now, you have learned a lot too, because relationship is a very key part of life. I mean, no one exists by himself.
Yeah.
You need people around you.
Yeah.
Wife, you know, friends,
yeah.
community, what have you.
They say if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with people.
And this is where we wrap.